Is it true? Did you call him a moron?
Jake, as I indicated earlier when I was asked about that, I'm not going to deal with that kind of petty stuff. I mean, this is a town that seems to relish gossip, rumor, innuendo, and they feed on it. They feed on one another in a very destructive way. I don't work that way. I don't deal that way, and I'm just not going to dignify the question. I call the president Mr. President. He and I have a very, very open, frank, and candid relationship. I see him often. Speak to him nearly every day. I'm in the Oval Office a number of hours every week.
Either you didn't say it, in which case there are a whole bunch of administration officials telling the press and telling the president that you did, and that's a serious problem. Or you did say it, and look, you're a serious guy. For you to say something like that suggests a real frustration with the commander-in-chief. So when you don't answer the question, it makes people think that you probably did say it. But either way, whatever happened, it is serious. So can you please clear it up?
As I said, Jake, I'm not playing. These are the games of Washington. These are the destructive games of this town. They're not helpful to anyone. And so my position on it is, I'm not playing. I'm not playing.
Well, that clears things up. Actually, it sort of does, which we'll get to in just a moment. The Secretary of State will be meeting with the president at the White House very shortly during a cabinet meeting. I'm joined now by CNN special correspondent Jamie Gangel, who's got some brand new information on this. Let's start with Moron Gate, as we're now going to call it as of right now. Why doesn't Rex Tillerson just answer the question?
So let's just say, for the record, his State Department spokesman has said that he did not say that. However, having watched just that, Washington is a town where if you can deny something, you will deny it. That is common sense. I think the reality is most likely that he said it. He said it in front of a number of people, and he's concerned that if he comes out and says, I don't say it, that he's going to get caught.
That it could be provably false if he were to deny it. Now, how does this get to the larger relationship that the president now has with the Secretary of State? What's the status of that relationship? Because it's been obvious for some time that the Secretary has been on thin ice.
Right. I think there's no question that he's been on thin ice, and an administration official told me the ice is getting thinner. The only question is, when does it break? Look, we have been hearing for some time that these two guys, they don't like each other. They grate on each other's personality, that the president doesn't like Secretary of State Tillerson's style, and if Secretary of State Tillerson said what he said or won't, that clearly says everything you need to know about that.
On thinner ice, which is even, I suppose, more development and newer than thin ice right there. But why? Why is it getting thinner right now?
So I think one of the things is that I think that Secretary of State Tillerson was probably only going to be around until January or February. Then the moron quote came out. There was a question about would he be gone immediately. We were told that General Kelly did not want, after Secretary Price was gone, for there to be more chaos in the administration, so everyone would hold on.
And chaos happens anyway,
exactly.
It seems. All right, the other thing that's happened over the last 48 hours is you've started to see actual replacements thrown out into the ether. Unclear to me by whom exactly, but you hear Nikki Haley first off.
Right. So one of the things you know about Washington is when names start to be floated for replacement, that also tells you something. The short list, 2 names. The UN ambassador, Nikki Haley, but there are some people who feel maybe they don't want her in Washington, that the plum position of state a little too soon, a little too visible. The second name that I'm hearing more and more is the present CIA director, Mike Pompeo. I'm told the president really likes him and that he is such a likely shortlist choice that also being floated is his replacement. Arkansas Republican Senator Tom Cotton is now being talked about as a possible replacement for Mike Pompeo if he moves over to state.
And again, I think the most important thing you noted there, Jamie, is once the names start getting tossed out or floated sort of as freely as they're being floated right now, that tells you something.
Absolutely.
Jamie Gangel on thinner ice. Big news this morning. Appreciate you being here. Thanks so much. All right, honoring service.